Hello, 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 hello to everybody who is listening to the replay. Welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Katherine. I am the podcast host of Chakras and Cusswords podcast. I concentrate on a lot of astrology, the chakra system, areas of meditation. I'm a meditation guide for the Aura app. So I am going to do a collective reading for this full moon in Capricorn that is coming up on July 3rd. So we currently have the sun aligned with Cancer. So if there's any Cancers in the house, it is your solar return. It is your solar season. So welcome, welcome. But the full moon in Cap is a energy that may feel a little bit um, different for some of us. This is going to be a time we're going to want to let go of areas around blocks. Also, we're going to want to be looking at spaces towards illumination in our own self and understanding that with the energy of the Capricorn, this is also a time that we're going to want to express maybe how we are feeling when it comes towards our business or even our relationships with other people. So I just want to welcome everybody into the room. I usually do full moon circles in person right around the date of the full moon. But since it's the 4th of July weekend, everybody's kind of like has canceled plans. So we're not doing a full moon circle this weekend, but I usually do a lot of in-person events. And when we are like getting ready to release or take something in, I always recommend that you do some type of energy clearing before the full moon or before your intentions. So the full moon energy is a little bit more intense than, let's say, the energy of a new moon. A new moon is often seen as a time that you're going to want to create some intentions and create some area of manifestation, which a lot of people do with full moons as well. But when we are looking at the full moon dynamic, it's a good time to clear away some things. Usually, it could be something as simple as clearing away old energy of possibly an ex, or in this case, maybe clearing away old energy in a pathway that you are using towards possibly career. So when we think of the Capricorn, we also think of that area of the 10th house. And sometimes that has a lot to do with like career, our area of image in like a professional site. So if our goals weren't really truly manifested, or if they weren't sitting fully aligned with us, this is going to be the time that we are going to want to clear that energy away before we start creating new rituals and new intentions towards this full moon in Capricorn. Also, when we think about the Capricorn, a lot of times we think that it's a very like sturdy sign. It's a very like sturdy zodiac, but we also have to remember that the Capricorn is a earth sign. But not only is it just a earth sign, it is almost like that sign that has a lot of presence of being like an overachiever, or somebody who works extremely hard or puts themselves where they are in the center of constantly trying to fulfill something new. And it's not that the Capricorn is a super crazy overworker. It's just that the Capricorn has very structured boundaries most of the time. And that has a lot to do with the Capricorn's ruler planet of Saturn. And right now, when we are thinking about boundaries and we're thinking about areas of restriction and areas of possibly regulation, we also have to think of how it is that we are going to make these intentions come true. How is it that we are going to create these rituals to really set forward in a new space? So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually do a reading for the collective. And when I do collective readings, it's basically for each element. So, the the Capricorn is an earth sign, but I'm actually have a rotation that I usually follow pretty consistently, consistently. So I will go into my normal rotation and hello. If anybody would like to come on stage, ask a question, ask something about the current astrology for the day, the current astrology for maybe the month. You can ask me that. Also, if you would like to drop your zodiacs in the chat, that kind of gives me a idea of where I can concentrate on some of the reading specifically for that zodiac sign. I'm going to share one of my upcoming or one of the videos that I already have for people who are really into astrology. I ask you to please follow my YouTube channel and also share out the room. My YouTube channel, I've just been working on it. I've been doing like a lot of deep dives. Tomorrow, I'm going to release that story about that little lost sub missile or sub immersion, whatever they call it, the Titan, the one that was looking for the Titanic that was in the media. So I'm doing the astrology breakdown for that story. So you can see the energy alignment of the story and also of the current astrology that was taking place for those who are into astrology. So I will get ready to start to do the reading for this room. So I want everybody to just kind of be at a place of ease. If you would like to do some breath work, this would be a good time to do it. If you would like to take a few breaths in and out before we start with the reading, I recommend that. And then I will be getting ready to start the reading. Okay, so let's begin the reading. We are going to start with the fire signs. That's usually who I start with. So I will be choosing cards for this element of the 4 elements. Also, if you are learning about numerology and areas of how there's a constant pattern in the universe, how there's a constant rhythm, and that can be either through the cosmos or dates of the calendars. I highly recommend that you check out my podcast. I just did a podcast on the children who were lost for 40 days in the Amazon jungle. So that's a good one to listen to. So let's start with the fire signs. And if you are a fire sign, that means you are either a Leo, a Sagittarius, or a Aries. So for the fire signs, it feels that there's an energy of adjustment that is required. There's also an energy that is speaking that we need to look into our place of boundaries, and we need to look in our place of moving forward and protecting our own energy and protecting the space of where we are as a collective, but really almost as an individual. It's time for you to make these adjustments. It's time for you to move in a rhythm that might make others upset, but it is something that you have to do before you create your ultimate pathway towards whatever it is that you are seeking or inquiring for. Most of the time, when people come into these rooms, it's because they have a question or a decision that needs to be weighed over or looked at. But we have to understand that sometimes our own interpersonal adjustments and energy is one of the things that has to be fully aligned in a place that can feel fortunate for us as we move forward into a next step. Also, I am going to pull one more card for the fire signs. And for the fire signs, I feel like it is a good rhythm of where you guys are at with the cosmos. It's not too much of a impact. You guys are aligned with some of the area of adjustments that are coming away with the North Node switching over to Aries. But right now, which is really going to make you evaluate the current situation and the current pathway that you're on. But right now, it's pretty, as one might say, the waters are calm. There's not too many areas that could be feeling like a block. So also for the fire signs, you are in a center of growth, but acknowledging the adjustments and the boundaries that you have to kind of tweak or let resonate with you and own that own space so you can move forward in your growth space is really what I'm seeing. I'm also seeing that there is a balance with the moon. Possibly some of you are thinking of how you can use this full moon in Capricorn. And if it is around that area of image or that area of transition, and what we have to remember too is right now, the Capricorn and the moon has Pluto aligned with it. Pluto is currently retrograde with Capricorn at the current moment. So when we have Pluto retrograde with the moon energy, it is a time that you are going to want to express your emotions, and you are also going to express that area of how it is that you have been caring for so many people. And that energy could have been limiting your space for growth. Also, for any of the fire signs, I don't know if some of you are on the road of starting a family, but I do feel that energy of a new being or soul coming through. It feels like they are coming through the dynamic of the cosmos. It's not fully here yet, but it is something that can be approaching. Also, I do want to say that all these intentions or all of these areas of creating intentions and manifestations should be done with a open heart and also an open mind. So remember, if you had to let go of something, that doesn't mean that that area is something that you can't reflect back on and look back towards as something that maybe once you bring in the boundaries or once you bring in that area, you can continue to acquire it. So, the next element that I will be going over is the water signs. And if you are a Pisces, Cancer, and we're currently in the sun of Cancer, or if you are a okay, so a Scorpio. How could I forget the Scorpios? And that's so funny because here is my favorite Scorpio, Tamisha. How could I forget the Scorpios? Okay, so for the Scorpios and also for the water signs, I will begin your reading. And for the water signs, because the water signs are in a high impact when it comes to the current astrology. Right now, we are in the sun of Cancer. We are currently in Cancer season. So we have a lot of alignments. We are right now in the moon phase of Capricorn. We are not currently in the full moon phase, but we are approaching it. The moon is moving towards the full moon phase. It's currently at the area that is aligning, which is known as a gibbous phase, but is transitioning to the full moon phase. But our current astrology for the water signs is we have the Saturn in Pisces, which is currently in retrograde, and also the Sun. So these are two major alignments. And then also we have Neptune in Pisces. And for the fire signs, which I didn't really talk too much about, but we do have Venus in Leo and Mars in Leo. We also have Mercury in Cancer for the water signs. So the water signs might be feeling a lot of energy right now because these are very dominant planets, Mercury, Saturn, and Neptune. So this is going to be a time where you are going to want to be focused on your dreams, and you are also going to be want to focus on a lot of the possibilities of where it is that can kind of manifest towards, especially the communication, especially that area of resilience for the water signs. Also, I will pull your guys' first card so you know where you could possibly set some of your intentions. For the water signs, I want you to kind of take a big breath in and release. And I want you to know that this is a time for you to work through your fears. And a lot of times when we look at our fears, They are our biggest obstacle. Sometimes our fears can be centered off of not starting, or it can be centered off of feeling that we have failed, or feeling that we haven't moved currently in a direction that feels aligned for us. And creating an intention where we set to move past the fears is not only a big responsibility for ourselves, but it is the energy that brings us new hope. Because fears, they just sometimes hold on to us by almost like at our feet, especially when they're very deep and like centered in that root chakra energy, when the fears have been manifesting or being replayed over and over in our mind. And sometimes these fears feel very conscious. We think we know what our fears are on the conscious level. We acknowledge those fears, but sometimes we forget to acknowledge the fears that are centered in the subconscious. The fears that we were taught to feel, not necessarily because we acquired them on our own, but just because somebody told us this is what we should be fearful of. And that sometimes isn't necessarily true. So when we let go of the fear and understanding that the universe moves in a designed pathway in the area of the nodes, that what is meant to be is meant to be. And while many people try to change the alignment or change the destiny path is the path that is meant to be. And when we realize that fears and blocks are laying on our feet and are holding our soul's energy down, that's the first step of removing them. That is the first step of moving them away and starting to move past the fear. It's acknowledging it and letting the fear go. So if something of a fear has been holding you back, this full moon in Capricorn is one for you to let go of it, to release it. And as a water sign, one of the most beautiful things you could do for a ritual on this full moon is to clear your aura with water. And if you've ever done an aura cleanse, you can do it either in the bath or the shower. And you can add things to it, such as eucalyptus, rosemary, lavender, depending on how your fear feels. If your fear feels that it needs to be cleared away, or if your fear feels like it just needs to be tamed, sometimes fears do live there because of past traumas. And maybe the fear will never, ever really go away, but you can just tame it down. Then I suggest you bring some lavender in, because sometimes the first step of really calming or releasing a fear is to tame it, to calm it down a bit. And you can take that energy, and with each intention, you speak of how come that fear no longer lives with you, because you are safe and your feet are light. They aren't heavy like stones or bricks or blocks. the fears are lifting away, that they no longer prevent you from a next step. So allow those fears to remove from the root. And also, I would like to tell you that I feel a strong energy with the water signs, with your second card, of area of collective. And each collective looks different for each individual. Your collective might be your family. I see a lot of energy around the collective, a lot of energy around play and growth. And that could be, like your friends, maybe a little bit socialization, getting out there. It could also be meeting people online and making companionships and having this energy where it feels truly aligned in where you're at. But there is a lot of strong energy with the collective, and there's also a lot of passion that needs to be embraced for this full moon in Capricorn. And when I see the sacral chakra energy, what's so funny about that, and especially that this is a reading about water signs, is the sacral chakra is the element of water. And the messaging is dancing around literally in a orange light and a orange strong presence of movement that feels very aligned with the sacral. So I feel like maybe a lot of water signs have been thinking about expressing their passions maybe to the collective or to people in their collective a little bit stronger. So this is your time to do it with this full moon in Capricorn. Okay, so the next element that I will be reading for is the earth signs. And for the earth signs, this is kind of like a high energy place. We do have the moon in Capricorn. We also have Pluto in Capricorn. We have Jupiter in Taurus. We have a lot of energy alignment right now with the earth signs. We also have Uranus in Taurus. The North Node is still in Taurus before Aries takes it over. And we also have a lot of energy of aspects because of the moon in Capricorn. So we have a moon that is squared with Neptune, which might make you feel a little bit unaligned with your dreams or unaligned with your reality of what can possibly happen, what is next, or what is the next step. Also, we have the energy of Neptune sextiling Pluto, which is in Capricorn in retrograde. So that means that not only is there a lot of maybe illusion or area of seek or inspiration, and it could be either in the spiritual sense or it could also be in the sense of maybe you're feeling like you want to let go of some of your dreams or let go of some of your inspirations. Or maybe you're first starting to see that you can actually start to work towards those dreams or create a possibility. These energies really flow quite well together. The square does make it a little bit more of an obstacle, but some of our greatest achievements come with obstacles. So let the planet of Neptune create that area of what can come, and also look at the transformation that is awaiting. And remember, when we think of Pluto, there is a full area of alignment of transformation. And I want you to think of what situation you have been either holding on to, or maybe letting it consume your mind. If it is a placement, if it is a person, if it is something that you are letting go of, I want you to know that as an earth sign, that when you let go, it is the first meaning to the new you. Also, nothing will come from this situation that will harm you. Nothing will come from this situation that will benefit you. Nothing will come from this situation that you aren't fully already aligned or aware of. So if this situation has been making you feel tense in your shoulders and you are an earth sign, I want you to slowly rotate your neck, or anybody as well, just at a slow movement back and forward like a rhythm. And I want you to know that you can let go of situations, people, events, and even memories. If it doesn't feed your energy of the heart chakra, then replace it, release it, and remove it. The earth signs have had a large area of transition and transformation. And it's moving forward. So understanding that when you are at this course and it's not feeling aligned and it's bringing tension or tenseness in the neck, the shoulders, and that upper area, it's a time to release it. It is also a time to just sit still, to just be still in the current and not really look at everything so hard. Sometimes for the earth signs, they tend to analyze a lot of stuff. And when we overanalyze, it can make us feel like we're just reliving that situation over and over again. And letting go of, and especially the Virgos, letting go of the analyzation, because sometimes you're not meant to figure everything out. And also your next card is, there's an area of magic around you, but in all honesty, that area of magic and enlightenment is coming from within you. It's deep, deep, deep in the solar energy, and it's deep, deep, deep in the soul space. So acknowledge that you have that energy to create your own magic. A lot of times when we are thinking of awakening our area of intention, intuition, or manifesting, we want to clear away by first putting our left hand over our third eye, which is right in the middle. And we want to let that area slowly tap. And you're just going to slowly tap it. And then you are going to grab your right arm and take your hand right above your eyes, right above that area. And you're just going to slowly remove that area that's been holding you back of seeing your full potential, of seeing your full magic within you. Because I can feel the energy of your magic, and I want you to feel it too. So just slowly remove it. And when we are divinely in our magic, it's not always a constant space. Like there's many times that I forget that I hold my own magic, that I hold my own energy that feels so aligned because it's divinely mine. And I have to do that. I have to wake it back up. I have to tap back into it. So that is for the earth signs. And then this is the last element. And this element is the air signs, which I love the air signs. I love all the signs. But one of the reasons why I love the air signs is because I'm an air sign. So they are a very rambunctious bunch, I would say. They tend to have a lot of energy. And sometimes that energy can be a little bit chaotic or even a little bit messy. I feel like since I'm an air sign, I could say that. And it's at a different rhythm than some of the other zodiacs. I feel like sometimes with the air signs, they try to do a little bit too much and it kind of throws them off. So if you are an air sign, I want you to take, or just anybody, but really the air signs. Don't skip this. So if you are an air sign, I want you to take a breath in and release. And I want you to feel the energy from the air in your body rotate through as it moves all of your blood, all of your soul, all of your alignment back to who you are. And take another breath in and release. So for the air signs, I will pull a card for you. So if you are an air sign, that means that either you are a Libra, a Aquarius, or a Gemini. And And for the air signs, there has been a lot of astrology kind of poking at you because we had Pluto in Aquarius. We also have, but Pluto is now in retrograde, so is no longer in Aquarius. So that could have felt like a burst of maybe relief, a burst of movement. We are currently aligned with our midheaven in Gemini, and the midheaven is known as being that cusp at the 10th house, which speaks volume for this full moon, because this full moon is right at the area of the 10th house. We have it with Capricorn, and it represents your individual space. So who you are as an individual, where you are as an individual. It's also your area of elevation. And for the Geminis, this might be making you feel like you need to rotate your shoulders and also open your mouth and move your jaw. And for the Geminis, if you've been feeling a little bit fearful of speaking, this is actually a time that you're going to want to clear your throat chakra and allow it to rest a bit. And realize that sometimes it feels a little flighty or it feels a little bit overwhelming, but that will go away. And I am going to pull a card for the air signs. So for the air signs, this is kind of interesting because the card is centered around the South Node, which I just did a meditative story on the South Node for somebody, for a client. And we have a transition that is coming up, I believe in the end of July is when the South Node is aligned with Libra. And it says, don't let your past hold you back. So for the air signs, this makes me think that there's something in the past that is holding you back from something new. And when we start to get into that past energy, that reflection energy, that could be centered around relationships, that could be centered around schooling, that could be centered around work. We also have to look at what skills and techniques were developed in the past during this time. And I hate to bring up the past, but sometimes the past is the biggest boulder that's holding us, right? It's so strong and it's right there in front of us. And we keep kind of going back to the past, bringing up the past. And sometimes we need to let the past live in the past. And remember that each node has its own destiny. While they are a pure mirror image of each other at 180 degrees, they each have its own destiny. The past was the destiny that brought you here to where you are right now. And some people believe the South Node energy could even be something so far back as a time before you even walked this earth. You were just here. Maybe you appeared different because you were different. Or maybe because it wasn't really the you that is here now, but it was a you from back then. But I want you to think of what in the past has been feeling like a boulder, has been feeling like an obstacle. And the South Node is actually known as the dragon's tail, which is kind of interesting, right? When we think about the South Node and the North Node, because the North Node is known as the dragon's head, but the South Node is known as the dragon's tail. And the tail is literally so powerful. The tail was the last to walk away or move past an energy that was holding you back. It was the last step or energy space in a battle. It was the strong skill that kept you there for the fight. The dragon tail often represents mastery, the skill, the technique. So if you are a air sign and you have the ability to see your birth chart, which you can go on so many apps, you just kind of need to know the day that you were born, which I hope you all do, and the location and the time. But I know some people don't even know that. They don't even know the date that they were born. We have to remember that sometimes the privilege of knowing who we are isn't always as easy as it sometimes seems to be for most of us, because I've had people who don't know really what was the real birth date. And while we could speculate and try, we know that energy of the past is something that they inquire. So we have to bring them to a space where we acknowledge the past, whatever it is, right? Or how come you didn't get to see that area of the past. But if you are somebody who does have access to your birth chart, I recommend looking at your South Node, looking at what zodiac it holds, and then looking up what skills and traits does that zodiac resemble? What energy alignment is that zodiac strong in? Because most likely that is your area of mastery. So when you create a ritual or intention towards this full moon in Capricorn, which resembles not only your image, but your legacy, look at that area of the South Node in your birth chart. And also your next card for the air signs is to let go of the grief, to let go of the hurt that the past brought, the area of embarrassment, the area of feeling ashamed, the area of feeling tied down to something that at the time you probably couldn't control. And to allow yourself to move past that shadow, to move past that hurt, and to leave the past in the past. And that sometimes is really hard, right? Like moving past trauma or hurt. It's never really ending. So just take your time with that. Also, for this full moon in Capricorn, for the air signs, this would be an amazing time for you to actually rewrite that energy. Instead of concentrating on the hurt and those emotions and feelings, to rewrite how you overcame it, what skills you used, what areas of mastery. Write it in a journal. Write it in a piece of paper, but acknowledge the skills that you used to overcome that space. So if anybody has any questions, let me see. Yeah, that is a hard one, right? Overcoming the past is a hard one. Well, if anybody has any questions, I'm just looking at the chat right now. Love life with the fire sign. Being an earth sign. Uh-oh. Let's see. Is she still in the room? I think she left. I will be honest. I feel like a fire sign and a earth sign can work out well. It depends on the whole chart. A lot of people, but those two elements, they can work out well, but it could also be very a little bit hindering. It just depends on how the two energies get along. Especially the fire sign is the masculine energy, so it's going to try to be a little bit maybe dominant in some areas, but an earth sign might balance them out. Also with an earth sign, they might be very grounded where they don't necessarily see or understand where that fire is coming from. Let's see. So, and for the Gemini, I'm dead in the center of making a choice to either continue back home to drama, to retrieve something important, or listen to this crazy chick who happens to be at the hotel room for 4 hours 4 hours to my left that's telling me not to go back but drive her. And that's the hard part, is when we're retrieving something. I guess my thing is, what energy is it that needs to come back to you? The only time I helped somebody retrieve something back, it was a very important back. It was her children. But usually, if it puts you in a circumstance where your energy is either neglected or if it's compromised, I usually say it's not worth it unless it's something that's very symbolic. like maybe has a lot of sentimental value. But if it's money or something of worth, the money and the thing of worth will usually come back to you just in another form. So I usually don't recommend retrieving a lot of things. I have helped somebody retrieve her children back, but that was a whole different scenario. That was pretty, significant. You have to get the kids back. Let's see. Can you talk about Pisces or Capricorn full moon and Pisces feminine, Leo masculine relationship? Okay, so each zodiac is either a yin or a yang energy. The Pisces is the feminine and the Leo is the masculine. Yin and yangs tend to work out very, very well. That energy can't do without each other, as some would say, right? It's why it's called a yin and a yang, that they correlate together quite well, that they move in a rhythm that's magnetic, and it's also a little bit opposing. So I would say I would really have to see the whole birth chart for a Pisces female and a Leo masculine relationship towards the full moon. Depending on one who is creating the intentions. So if the Leo masculine was doing some type of ritual or something that was centered off of creating an intention towards a relationship, I would recommend using a space that's centered with either like fire or, and when I mean fire, that could be just like cleansing, maybe the house, lighting candles with intentions. That could also be like a date. I believe a lot in full moon magic. When it comes to relationships, I do believe that you can set a lot of intentions towards relationships, especially when it is a full moon. And what is important right now for the Leo, because the Leo is the masculine of the two, is right now the Leo is aligned with Venus. So the Leo energy, if it has that strong desire, like, yes, I want to start this relationship, I want to be with this person, and I want to be happy with this person, this is a time that you are going to want to create those intentions. And those are also the time that you are going to want to express those intentions to this individual. And with the Pisces, though, right now, especially with this full moon in Capricorn, the Pisces is probably dreaming of a alignment of what is next. And that could either be in the relationship or a personal space, maybe something more on the spiritual element, maybe more on the individual element. But we also have to remember that Saturn is currently aligned with Pisces. So while the Pisces might be a little bit hesitant to start a relationship at first, this is also going to be a good time for them to look at their boundaries within the relationship. But I do think that this combination could work, but it could also have this dynamic because when we look at what the Pisces really resembles versus the Leo, it is very opposite. I mean, they aren't like opposing each other, but they are definitely on a different path. I do like Pisces with earth signs. I have seen some relationships where Pisces and water signs do work out quite well. But the thing is, the Leo has to understand that the Pisces moves at a different rhythm than the Leo. And the Leo might at sometimes be a little bit too self absorbed or a little bit too ready to create something new, where the Pisces is more centered in the clouds and seeking like areas of seclusion. So that's something that, as long as the Leo respects that element of the Pisces, it probably could work. You are welcome. All right, everybody. So I want to thank you guys for all popping into this room. And let me see, let me just check the back channel. Okay, so we have a Libra. We have a Libra moon, and we have a triple Libra, I believe. So I'm a Libra, and then Libra moon on Libra and sun on. So if you are a triple Libra, that's very, very, very not common to be a triple Libra, but it can happen. And when we go off of the big three, the sun, the moon, and the rising, there's definitely a lot of energy. If you are a triple Libra, then you are living in the Libra era. You are living, most of your energy is Libra. So that means you're sitting in the Libra state. And the Libra is all about balance. So I would have to definitely see like your birth chart to kind of make sure that you are a triple Libra. But if you are a Libra moon, right now, for being a Libra moon or a Libra sun, either way, this is a time that you are going to want to really take time to learn those mastery skills of the South Node, because the South Node is going into Libra soon. Also, it is a time that you're going to want to look at certain energies around you. So let me just look at my chart real quick. Hold on. Okay. So for let's see. So for the Libra, this is actually really aligned with your with your 10th house, which is kind of funny because the Capricorn resembles the 10th. So this is a time for you to look at your commitments and also your responsibilities and your areas of achievements and public image. But I want you to be able to express yourself in areas that feel more aligned and areas that feel more like resilient. It is definitely, like I said, a time for you to look at your expertise. Hold on. And it is a time for you to look at the balance of the relationships for you, especially with this full moon. So you're going to want to create areas towards either business or agreements, and also the image. Okay. Wow. Yeah. So you are a pure Libra. It would be very interesting to see where your other planets were, where your other alignments were. Also for the Libra, when you do have the South Node go into Libra, just really take it as a time to reflect and see where you overcame the most and really learn from it. So I want to thank everybody who popped in this room. Thank you so much for hanging out. And everybody have an amazing full moon in Capricorn coming up tomorrow. Bye.